Good evening, sharps and squares, degenerates and casual bettors. I'm the Wizard of Odds, Christopher Smith, and this is the SEC Country Gambling Show presented by MyBookie. We're live every Thursday night from Atlanta, Georgia, and on this show we have one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to win you some cold, hard cash. All right, I'm standing by with the Sheriff, Mr. Steve Petrella. Sheriff, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Hitting about the midway point of the season, finally, when we start to get some great numbers and our spreadsheets make a little more sense at this point in the season. So I'm always excited for the second half.
Yeah, we got a new addition to the Wizard of Odds show today. That's the Power Rankings, the Wizards Power Rankings. We're going to show you up here on the screen in the SEC through Week 6. And as you can see, there are three teams that have just been destroying the competition this year. Georgia has gone 5-1 against the spread. The second number you see there is the record of each team against the Vegas line and the MyBookie line. And you'll notice as well that after you get past the first four teams, the first 5 teams, so out of the 14 SEC teams, there's only 5 that are above 500 against the number. And A&M is +1. The rest of these teams, all the bottom 7 are pretty bad against the number. I guess South Carolina, they're 4-2. Arkansas has not won a game yet against the spread. They're one of 4 teams in the country that's winless still. And you look at Tennessee, I have them 9th in my power rankings. They're 1-4 against the line, 60 points under. If they continue that trend, Butch Jones is not going to be long for Knoxville.
He sure won't.
All right, so you can see there, I don't like Vanderbilt, I don't like Ole Miss, I don't like Missouri. A lot of bad teams in the SEC this year. I use these power rankings to determine what I think the line should be and where I'm going to bet on. So now you've seen these. We're going to take a look now at our Week 7 SEC lines, and you're going to see some numbers here. BYU is one of the other 4 teams that has not won a game against the spread all season. They're a huge 24-point underdog at Mississippi State. South Carolina and Tennessee. So Tennessee's a 3.5-point home favorite right now. If Will Muschamp can go into Knoxville and win that game, Butch Jones is going to have a lot of difficulty. You can see the rest of these games here. Ole Miss is a slight favorite at home against Vanderbilt. You have 2 games that are 30-point games. You have 2 of the teams that I have ranked in my top 3 of the power rankings against 2 teams that I have ranked 10th and 14th. And so you have the 30-point sets there. And then you have maybe the most exciting game of the week, and that's Texas A&M at Florida. Somehow Florida is still a favorite in that game, but we'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, I think that Florida team has been polarizing all season from a betting perspective. All over the place. Game against Michigan laid an egg. Somehow came back and won on that Hail Mary, and then laid another egg last week home against LSU, so that should be an interesting one.
Yeah, the first game that I want to talk more in depth on today is Auburn at LSU. And we have an Auburn team. I've been telling people all year this is the second best SEC team. I still think that. I think they're more dynamic than Georgia in the passing game. Gus Malzahn seems pretty relaxed this year, which is rare for him. Jarrett Stidham has found groove in the passing game. I think Kerryon Johnson has scored 500 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. It's actually 11, which is a huge number. Cam Petway is still not healthy. It's scary to think this Auburn team with a top 10 defense nationally that is bread and butter running the football has a quarterback who's completing more than 70% of his passes. Then you look at LSU. They got destroyed by Mississippi State. They lost to a Troy team who then lost to South Alabama last night. Not a great look. They did go into the swamp last week, and what happened is the head coach, Ed Orgeron, finally took the offensive keys and said, hey, Matt Canada, we're paying you $1.5 million a year to run the offense. I'll finally let you run the offense. I think their receivers had 12 runs and 1 reception last week in the win. And we're finally seeing the LSU team that's sort of playing to their strengths. Now, they're beat up. They had 3 freshmen. I think actually they had 4 freshmen on the offensive line at one point in the game last week against Florida. They had some – Arden Key is finally starting to get healthy. They're still a little bit thin on the defensive line as well. But look, LSU is not nearly as bad of a team as they started out this season. They're still in contention with Texas A&M and Mississippi State for that number 3 spot in the SEC West. And they're not probably a top 25 team now, but they're kind of top 35 or 40 right now, and that's not nearly as bad as some people have led us to believe. So at home in Death Valley with the team finally playing the way they want to on offense. And Auburn, they're a really good team, but I'm not going to bet on this game with my money. But the public is all over Auburn this week, and that scares me. I think there was a point yesterday which 97% of the money bet on this game was going to Auburn. So I'm not going to bet my own money, but if I had to lean at all, I like Auburn to win the game, but LSU should enter this game probably more than a touchdown underdog by the time we get to Saturday. So if I had to bet, if the sheriff was going to put me under arrest otherwise, then I think I would lean a little bit toward LSU.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing when you kind of have to go against your own power rankings and beliefs because people have jumped on that bandwagon so hard and pushed a number beyond what you think it should be, and I think that makes a ton of sense here. Speaking of your power rankings, I think you like Texas A&M probably more than most people, or Texas A&M's a little bit better than most people realize. The fire Kevin Sumlin talk is kind of quieted down, and they're a 2.5-point underdog going into Gainesville this weekend against a Florida team, like we said, that's been a little over the place.
Yeah, I think you look at Texas A&M, and I know everyone watched the Week 1 opener where they just totally fell on their face against UCLA. It was one of the most exciting and biggest comebacks all time in college football and major college football. And they also lost their starting quarterback in that game, Nick Starkel. And that's really why they struggled. They played Nicholls State, I think, after that in sort of a close game. And they struggled a while against Louisiana Lafayette, I believe it was. But Kellen Mond, who wasn't really supposed to play this year, he's gotten better every week. And he's got some players around him as well. And that defense is finally starting to come together. They're really good against the run on defense, and they have a decent pass rush as well. We saw them limit Alabama last week to 27 points. That's no easy feat. And then Kellen Mond, he's got Christian Kirk, who can get the ball too. He's got a really good backfield that can run the ball. And he hasn't made a lot of huge mistakes in the last couple of weeks. And we're going in to play a Florida team who, you know, they had two players that got downgraded to doubtful earlier today. And that's Kadarius Toney, sort of their wildcat receiver, and also Tyree Cleveland, who is their number one receiver, with Antonio Callaway maybe never playing again in the Florida Gators uniform due to the suspension and other issues. So, you know, Florida's going to have real trouble moving the ball on offense. I saw a stat today. Faye Franks is their starting quarterback. I took a straw poll in the office. What do you think his completion percentage is? I think I heard somebody say something in the 40s. Somebody said something low 50s. He's completed more than 60% of his passes this year for Florida. In 6 games, or actually in 5 games, he's only thrown the ball 79 times. To me, that says Jim McElwain and the coaching staff still don't trust him. They want to run the ball and be super conservative. They're kind of playing a little bit like an LSU-style offense with a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of like, we don't trust our offensive line, we don't trust to throw downfield. So I think Texas A&M actually should be the favorite in this game. I know Florida is a 2.5-point favorite at home. I don't trust Florida's offense, especially without those two players. A&M's gotten better and better. They played Alabama to a one-possession game last week, and now they're going on the road again to a tough, environment in Florida. But I think Texas A&M should be the favorite in this game. It's probably my favorite game of the week, so I'm putting my money on the Aggies.
All right, last one we got, 2 probably middle to end of the pack SEC teams in Tennessee and South Carolina. Butch Jones, like you said, maybe not long for Knoxville, but they're coming off a bye and catching 3.5 in this one. What do you think about this game?
Well, before I talk about this game, I was in the office earlier today, and I was thinking I could write some stories or edit some stuff, and then I said, you know what? A leadership rep is just as good as an actual rep, so I won't do any work today. I'll just get some leadership reps. That's kind of what Butch Jones has been. Every press conference is an adventure with Butch Jones. He gave the leadership rep comment this week, earlier in the week at another press conference. You got brick by brick, you got champions of life. And I think the people in Knoxville are just tired of it. And I think if Tennessee does lose this game to South Carolina, which it has no business doing at home, he may not have a job come next week. But looking at this game, I do think South Carolina has made, lemonade out of lemons, to use the non-derogatory version of that phrase this season. But South Carolina's offensive line is still garbage. And on top of that, they've been kind of banged up this year. And they don't have Deebo Samuel anymore. They don't have one of their best linebackers anymore. And so Muschamp is great at defensive game planning. He's been really good on defense this year, and that's why you saw them hang in there with Texas A&M. And that's why you saw them pick up a big SEC win over Arkansas. Their defense scored 3 touchdowns in that game last week. But you look at the other side of the ball, Tennessee can run the ball okay. They should just give John Kelly the ball 40 times in this game and say, we're handing the ball to you until you ask out of the game or you get hurt. And then on the other side of the ball, Tennessee's been able to rush the passer. And I think Jake Bentley's been really fortunate in that he hasn't gotten hurt yet. He's taken some huge hits, sort of like Austin Allen at Arkansas has. And his offensive line hasn't helped him at all. They don't have really a running game to speak of. He's without his number 1 receiver. So I think Tennessee, despite all the things you've heard from Butch Jones, and it's easy to go against them at this point in the season, but I think this is a game that Tennessee is going to come out and give their best effort in. I expect them to, they can't beat most teams in the SEC with just the ball, but this is a game they can win. Jarrett Garantano is going to get the start at quarterback for Tennessee. I expect them to not put the game in his hands. They're going to run the ball a ton. South Carolina is not great at the line of scrimmage. So I think Tennessee has actually gotten a little undervalued because everybody hates to, bet on Butch Jones. It's a little risky, I admit, but I'm putting my money down on the Tennessee Volunteers this week. I'm sort of leaning to them. I don't necessarily recommend you break the bank on this bet. I like the A&M win a lot better. But in this game, I definitely like Tennessee more than I like South Carolina.
Yeah, sometimes the toughest bets are the best ones to make. And I apologize. I said they're catching 3.5. I meant they're laying 3.5 at home. So you like the Vols in that one. Anything else you like this week?
There is one thing I like this week, and that's mybookie.ag. I like the promo code SEC Wizard because if you use this code right here, you will get up to 100% bonus on your deposit. Mm-hmm. The sheriff here, my partner in crime, I shouldn't say crime, I'd get arrested from the sheriff. We both have put down $500 at MyBookie this year, and we've turned that into more or less $1,000 of free money each. We've both got $1,000 of free money from MyBookie. You can take our picks and get $1,000 with this promo code yourself. Mm-hmm. It's, once again, go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code SEC Wizard, use the sheriff's picks, use my picks, and you'll be golden.
Yep, they'll double your deposit. Can't beat it. One of the best deals in the business.
Yeah, so let's take a look at my picks this week as well. This is the games that I'm actually betting on. Not to brag or anything, but look at the bottom. I'm 24 games over 500 for the year. This says 23 games, but I did win last night on the under in the South Alabama game. So, hate to brag, but I'm about 63, 64% on the year. Most professionals try to get 55% right, so I'm doing pretty well there. The Texas A&M game, I mentioned that I really like that game. It's my favorite game of the week in the SEC, and I'm big on unders this year as well. I think Texas A&M and Florida, that could be a 24-17 kind of game. They're banking on it being like a 28-24 game. I think it goes under. Tennessee and South Carolina as well. There's going to be a lot of running the ball for Tennessee. There's going to be a lot of South Carolina struggling against the Tennessee pass rush. I like that to go under as well. And then a lot of contrarian plays the rest of the way here. This is not a great week, I don't think, to bet in the SEC. You can be contrarian and go with LSU, and you can go with Missouri. As a 30-point dog, you can go with, there's another 30-point dog in the SEC as well. In Arkansas, BYU is a 24-point dog. I don't like any of those games really. So I say Texas A&M +3 and a couple unders, and then stay the heck away from the SEC slate this week if you want to make money. Which again, I've done a pretty good job of that this year.
Money's the way to go. You certainly don't want to lose money. Yes, you'll be out of business quickly.
But there is one way to just guarantee that you make lots of this stuff. I mean, if you want to multiply this, if you want to triple, quadruple, times 10 all your money here, then there's one man that you have to listen to each and every week. There's only one. We don't need analysis. We don't need a name. His picks are so good that you can just take it to the bank. Let's go see if he agrees or disagrees with me. I got to know if my pick's right based on our lock of the week. Let's see what he has to say this week.
3, 1, lock of the week.
Texas A&M Aggies.
Lock of the week.
Just so clever. Just so clever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's taken A&M as the underdog, which I also like as my
Right.
pick of the week. Has a dog there. He didn't even have to say anything. Just symbolizing how strong the dog is in this game this week.
Brilliant symmetry.
It's just brilliant.
Brilliant
Just brilliant.
stuff.
I don't have to say anymore. I mean, we might as well just end there just because, you don't need to know anything more than our lock of the week is Texas A&M this week. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
Other than the fact that mybookie.ag is the best place to put your money.
Sure is. And if you use the code SEC Wizard, you'll get 100% match deposit.
That's right, but this is the Sheriff. I'm very glad to have the Sheriff back this week. Once again, I'm the Wizard of Odds. And there's one thing that you have to remember each and every week. And you may think your team is good, and we know that good teams win. But what do great teams do, Steve?
They cover.
Great teams cover.
They do.
So God bless America, everybody. Good luck on your bets this week, and we'll see you next Thursday night.
Go Jags.